President Trump expected to sign several new executive orders related to the military. They include policies for transgender service members, a ban on several diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives, and reinstating service members discharged for refusing to get the COVID vaccine. President also expected to sign an executive order building an Iron Dome missile defense shield for the U.S., very similar to Israel's. On the immigration front, the president is declaring victory after a face-off with Colombia over return flights of undocumented migrants. The country's president initially said he would not accept the flights, saying the U.S. cannot treat Colombian migrants as criminals. Colombia threatened tariffs of its own, but ultimately backed down.
Sends a message to other countries that the president means what he says and that he is going to deliver punishment if if countries don't cooperate.
With immigration crackdown operations ramping up across the country, Immigration and Customs Enforcement reported nearly 1,000 arrests just yesterday alone. Over the weekend, the president continued his executive moves, firing at least 15 inspectors general. Those are the independent government watchdogs that root out waste, fraud, and abuse. Wei Zhizheng has more now on the impacts of that decision.
Mark Lee Greenblatt served as the Inspector General for the Department of Interior until late Friday night, when President Trump fired him, along with more than a dozen other IGs.
This is absolutely unprecedented. There is nothing that's ever happened remotely like this.
Greenblatt, who Trump appointed during his first term, worries about who could replace him. IGs are meant to be nonpartisan watchdogs who root out corruption and fraud.
The key is that our reports have credibility because we're independent. If all of a sudden, if you remove that independence, so what value does that report have?
California Senator Adam Schiff says Trump broke the law because he did not give Congress the required 30-day notice.
The American people, if we don't have good and independent inspector generals, are going to see the swamp refill.
But Republicans like Senator Lindsey Graham were quick to defend the president.
Get new people. He feels like the government hasn't worked very well for the American people. These watchdog folks did a pretty lousy job.
Just 1 week into his second term, Trump has shut down DEI programs across the government, removed at least 20 State Department officials in leadership roles, and 160 staffers with the National Security Council were sent home while the administration reviews staffing.
It's just simply stunning in its scope and in its depth and in its speed. There's simply never been an administration, I think, in American history that has tried to do so much so fast.
Professor Don Kettl has studied the management of the U.S. government for 45 years.
What are the guardrails here that could stop President Trump?
And they're essentially challenging Congress to oppose what it is they're doing or to try to stop it, which Congress could do, but which Congress doesn't seem to have any inkling about doing.
This week, much of Washington will have eyes on 3 of Trump's most controversial picks to fill his cabinet. Senate confirmation hearings are scheduled for his nominees for the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, for Secretary of Health and Human Services, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., and FBI Director Kash Patel. Those are 3 fierce loyalists who have some prickly records to defend. Wei Zhizheng, CBS News, Miami.